like a little bit of UFC talk. I want to circle back to Paddy Pimblett and his robbery of a decision. Those who don't know, Paddy Pimblett is a very popular, maybe like top 3 or 4 most popular UFC fighters in the world right now, as far as drawing fans to a place to look at them do their thing. He's 28 years old. He's blonde, bowl-cutted, goofy looking, and he has one of those disgusting Liverpool accents. I'm guessing that region. It doesn't matter if I missed it by 3 miles, you cocksuckers.
It does, though.
Right?
It's a totally different world.
Oh, it's a Suffolk accent, you fool! It's like that.
Oh, you're from northeast west Liverpool. I'm from South Umptonshire. We live fucking.
That bloody geezer, he misgendered us.
What are you even saying, you crazy cunt? You got that crazy accent. You live 500 yards that way. 500 meters, rather.
I can't even understand that fucking dog. He just comes around here, tippity bo booba.
So funny. Like watching the Ricky Gervais show where like Ricky's like, Carl, what are you even saying, mate? And it's Carl, and it's like, I look where they're from, and it's like, Ricky, you could like meet Carl for lunch where he's from. Like, how the fuck are these people's voices so different?
Anyway,
you guys ever heard Scousers? You guys ever heard Scousers before?
Yeah, so he had a big fight this weekend, and he was the co-main event, I believe. And look, me and my friends all watched it in the Discord, and I like Paddy. I wanted him to win, but we were all like, he lost that one. I scored it 3 rounds to none against Paddy. I could see you making it 2 rounds to 1, and that is where I think 24 out of 25 of the MMA media members who put their scores forward that night landed. Either 3 rounds against Paddy or 2 rounds against Paddy. Either way, only one person in the fucking world on the internet thought that Paddy won, that whose voice mattered. But the judges thought he had won, and it was just really foul. It was. So the problem is this: Dana White, the owner, like president of the UFC, is standing there ringside with Dave Portnoy. Dave Portnoy, the guy who runs the biggest sports book in the United States, and Dave Portnoy is wearing his Paddy Pimblett wig. He sponsors Paddy Pimblett over it. It's a multi-million-dollar deal that he has with Paddy Pimblett. He's a Barstool Sports athlete or whatever that means. And he's sitting, and so these two are sitting there. The thing gets read out. Paddy Pimblett, 3 rounds to none, whatever they say. And Dana White looks at Portnoy and he's like, yeah, that's about right. And it's just like, what the fuck is happening here? It was such a robbery. And so we kind of recovered from that. It seemed dirty. It seemed like the fix was almost...
Did he win?
Yeah. They gave him the fight. They gave him the fight. The decision went his way, and everybody.
I haven't had the chance to watch it. I'll have to watch it and see. But
round 1 is very one-sided. Paddy got beaten the shit out of him. Round 3, he got controlled for like 4 out of 5 minutes, up against the fence, being completely controlled. Round 2, I could see some people scoring it for Paddy, but I didn't. Yeah. I felt like Paddy has no defense, and the other guy does. The other guy is covering up when Paddy's like throwing his combos and coming out with that left, and it's going pop, pop, pop. And it's like, holy shit, he caught all those. He catch 3 in a row.
Paddy fights a bit like that. Who's that chick that was real big for a little while?
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, he fights like Ronda Rousey. Yeah, man, he just runs forward and eats punches and then just
a little bit.
Out.
And I think that like a lot of people, I just learned, and I watch a lot of MMA stuff. I didn't realize Paddy was 28 years old. I didn't realize he was a guy closer to the end of his career than the beginning of his career.
Maybe the peak.
Yeah, he's at the peak of his career for sure. Well, all right. He's at the peak of his career as far as his climb up the rankings. There's this moment in a movie called Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger where like the guy gets beaten. He's like, you've been weighed, you've been measured, and you've been found wanting. And that's what's happened here. He's been weighed and measured. He's been found wanting as far as like top 10, maybe even top 15 competition is concerned. You got to really look and pick to find the guy in the top 15 that Paddy Pimblett can beat. Don't pick that guy. He'll take Paddy down. Oh, don't pick that guy. He'll knock him the fuck out. Yeah, that guy with the gimpy leg. Him. You got to do that. But it doesn't matter because who the fuck wants to be the champion of the UFC? When you're the champion, everybody wants to hurt you. And not just everybody, the scariest people on the world who can weigh what you weigh want to hurt you. Paddy Pimblett, if he can just keep beating up guys who are just about his skill level or a little below it, God, the fans love it. Nobody in the audience gives a shit if he's beating up a tomato can or whatever you want to call it.
I saw you mentioned like he's like affiliated with Dave Portnoy and all that. Yeah, like a Barstool. I saw a clip from of Dave Portnoy talking about it, and he was straight up. He's like, the third round of that fight was the worst, least entertaining round of a fight I've ever seen in my life. They just hugged each other the whole time. I don't think anybody got hit. Like,
he's right,
and he's
and that's what when Dana White was kind of had this question pointed to him. They want Dana White to go off on the judging, and what Dana did instead, at least as far as the Pimblett fight was concerned, he pivoted in a really interesting way. He blamed the fighter who lost. He blamed Gordon. He said, I don't know what that guy's game plan was. What, you think you're up two rounds to none, huh? So what, you're going to go out there and lay on the guy for a whole round, play it safe? Turns out you weren't ahead. Turns out you were way behind. You should have went out there and fought hard. And he's got a point.
That's good framing.
That's good framing. But the real issue, Dana, is not just that that we had this crazy decision tonight. It's that we had that crazy decision in your last thing with Sugar Sean O'Malley losing to Jan. And I hate fucking Russians just on general principle, but Jan won that goddamn fight. Then after the Paddy Pimblett fight, and that's another instance of a big time, flashy, young UFC kid. You know, he's the guy with the crazy hair and the tattoos and everything, winning a fight he didn't win, according to judges. Then right after Paddy Pimblett wins, quote unquote, his fight, they had the main event of the evening. I don't know what you call it when the belt is up for grabs because the champ had to give up the belt, but there are two men fighting for fight. There is a vacant title fight, and the two best fighters at 205 pounds are fighting to decide who gets the belt, who is the champion now. Neither of them currently have a belt. Again, they're like the number 2 and number 3 guys. Not exactly, but you get my point. They have a real snooze fest of a fight. I don't know if it was bad because we were traumatized after the Paddy thing, but it was awful. I can't tell you what happened. I remember there was a lot of boring shit, and then the Russian took him down and laid on him for a while. There wasn't a lot of good striking. It seemed like the Polish guy wasn't great at his takedown defense, and I was just bored. And I think somebody in the same thing was like, "Man, this is a pretty boring fight," and I was like, "Yeah, I hate to say it, but like this isn't the kind of ground fighting that I find interesting. It's not dynamic. It seems like it's meant to really just kill time." And I didn't like it. I thought it was a bad fight. The decision comes down. And again, this is a 5-round fight. Earlier, we talked about a 3-round fight. It gets even more difficult with judging when there are 5 rounds being judged. They give it, they say it's a split decision, or a split draw. And we didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that was. I watch a lot of UFC, but I didn't know what that was. And I had to really start thinking about it. And I was like, wait. So they disagreed, but they came to the same decision. And that didn't make sense at first, but I was like, oh. That means that one of the judges thought it was a fucking tie, and that another judge thought that guy A won, and another guy thought that guy B won. And that adds up to a split draw. And so they don't know what to do with the fucking belt. So they both walk away literally crying and concussed. And the poor Russian guy, again, I hate Russians on general fucking principle, especially this Dagestani crooked nose chin beer cocktail. I hate them. I hate them
just because of that guy.
But no, I got other things.
Oh, okay.
But that big Igor cocksucker won that fight, and he clearly won the fight. And they didn't give it to him, and he's worked his whole goddamn life to get there and do that thing. And then the poor son of a bitch tells his translator, "I don't want to fight here anymore. If that's what it's like." What he means is, I don't want to fight. I think they're in Vegas. I'm not sure, but I'm almost positive they're in Vegas. What he means is, I don't want to fight in Las Vegas and deal with these kind of judges. The translator says, "I don't want to fight in the UFC anymore if it's going to be like this." Dana White gets on his phone and says, looks like we need 2 different guys to fight for the belt in Rio. We're gonna make it Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Harris, I think. Jamal something or another. They'll fight for the belt before Igor can get out of the fucking ring. And I'm not saying it's because of the mistranslation, but that didn't fucking help. He made that deal on the phone before Igor could get his crying Russian ass to the back room and explain. All right, it was done. Those people, Glover was standing there, so he just had to be whispered to. But they had called the other guy, the black gentleman, Jamal Harris, I think. I'm getting that wrong. I don't know him as a fighter.
Something like that. Zach wrote it in the chat.
Oh, okay. Well, they had already called him and offered him the deal, and it was done. And Dana doesn't usually make fights on fight night or whatever. He says that repeatedly. It's sort of a meme.
Mm-hmm.
He immediately was like, "Yeah, Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill or whatever his name is." Like, just made it.
If you go back 15 years, Dana White and reporters would like hash out who they should fight next. You know, like, what do you think? Should Chuck fight Tito? He'd be like,
I think he'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, all right, that's the next one.
Just like a Roman emperor at like a gladiator. Like,
it's better than
you know what would fancy me. Like,
there'll be a media member, and he'll say, he'll be like, "Hey Dana, Sean O'Malley said that was a hell of a knockout he got out there, and he's wondering could he have $50,000 as well because he said he banged his hand up. Really banged his hand up, huh? Yeah, give Sean $50K too. Hey Mike, make sure get Sean cut Sean a check for $50K. Yeah, he asked nicely. Yeah, do that. Like he'll do nicely. That shit. I'm not exaggerating. Like it'll be that.
See, that makes him pretty cool. Like as a viewer.
There's 2 ways to look at it.
$70,000
Taylor, as an anti-big business guy, you can look at it the other way. The fighters have to be in fucking line with the UFC. If they ever say, like, you know what, maybe a union. The thing is, when you're a fighter, I'm going to make up numbers here, but something like a third of your pay, if you're a popular fighter, is that like contracted amount. When they say Taylor earned $250,000 in this fight, he earned another $750,000 in like Dana White goodwill check.
Oh, okay.
However, if you talk shit during your interviews, during the pre-fight promotion, if you're like, I hate the Reebok deal, all that other $750, kiss it goodbye. You know, you tell them I love the fucking Reebok deal. I think it's Venom now or something.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to be a company man to get the other 2/3 of your pay.
I feel like a lot of people are hating
sense.
on that though, because like I've seen a few times where people have gotten up and been like, "You fuck this, like this sucks," and we're getting treated like shit. So maybe they're sort of getting to the point where they've had enough, but it feels like they get.
Oh, they can have enough. Get the fuck out. He'll throw Ngannou out in the street. He don't care. Like the heavyweight champion of the world. He's like, oh, you want more money? Do you? I got like 3 guys that are better than you at numbers and maybe at fighting. Not really sure. Stipe's out there getting humongous. John Jones has been bulking for 3 goddamn years and juicing. You think you're still the baddest man in the world? I don't know. I'm not so sure anymore. Yeah. I'm not going to pay you like you are.
It's so popular. There's like he could pretty much just go to a fucking arena, sell tickets, have no card, and then just pick random cunts from the crowd to punch on, and people would love it.
I'd love
people would like that.
Yeah,
I would love that.
I love fights. I love watching fights. Yeah, it's so interesting. There's nothing more compelling than a fight. It could be 2 hockey players. It could be 2 idiots at the bar. It could be 2 UFC fighters for a title. If somebody's fighting, you have my attention.
Woody, have you heard of like I saw this because I follow Dave Portnoy on Twitter. Like they have like Barstool has like their own boxing like fighting thing called Rough and Rowdy, but it is like the kind of shit like we would put together if we did it, where it's literally like I just went to their site. I'll put it in here. The placard is a midget fight. Like what they're pushing is a midget fight. You can go to like see like the highlights and it'll just be like there's no weight classes.
Not only is it a midget fight, it's not just a midget fight. It's a midget getting beaten by another midget.
Wait, oh yeah, world's strongest dwarf fights former WWE star.
Yeah, world's strongest dwarf. Yeah. And like, there's no weight classes. There's one here that just says Tiny Hero fights Monster Man to impress ring girls.
Oh, you know, boxer farts in the ring and makes everyone sick.
That's the third highlighted video.
Yeah. College girls brawl.
But there's stuff just like this,
Toothless
like
hillbilly fights young
Yeah.
wrestling champ.
lawyer
Ah.
thinks he can fight. Convict
This is-
fights frat boy. Like it's this
my
kind
favorite.
of matchmaking.
So, wait, hang on, look at
Self-proclaimed superhero hammers
fight gets
acne covered
sloppy?
lumberjack.
All right.
Acne covered lumberjack.
I didn't know that existed. I'll have to look
So
into that.
I love those. Wait, you guys seen those ones where they're just like in a wood paling fence? Those fights. They're just like these backyard, like bare knuckle fucking boxing hillbilly
Of course,
fights.
that's where people
I
like
f-
Jorge Masvidal started out.
I fucking love that shit. That's like my favorite fucking short form videos. Is just watching those motherfuckers bash each other's heads in. It's so
They're
good.
pretty professional with it. Some of them are like they've got like cages
Dude.
built. Sometimes.
I got distracted by that like rough and rowdy brawl thing.
Mhm.
The commentators are doing a play-by-play of the fart that lasts a couple of minutes,
Yeah.
and they go over to the girls and they're dying. What they're theorizing, like, did he shit himself? No. I watched the whole thing happen. He beat that
no.
guy's ass, and then he blew his own ass.
They're fun. The commentators are Dave Portnoy and Big Cat from
Really?
Barstool. So
One
like
of the
they're very
fighters is
good at
called
it.
The real deal.
And
man.
they don't know anything about fighting. So like the highlights of it I've seen, they'll be like, "Oh, good God, man, neither of these guys really skilled at all." Like, oh man, this is a punishment for everyone involved, isn't it? Hopefully, it's very,
Have you-
very, very fun.
Have you guys noticed that there's like the massive trend of like content creators that are getting into boxing? Like you got like obviously
I had
this
noticed
It
not
pays
just
well.
like not the big ones like the Paul brothers and like KSI and shit like that. But there's a lot of other people organizing like little ones and
Yeah.
so I was watching like YouTube the other day, and you know that little motherfucker that makes like crazy inventions and shit. He'll be like, "Oh, I built my own fucking X-ray machine," and it's quite funny. But he's just like this tiny little nerd, and then they just had like heaps of cunts like him from YouTube just having box-ons, and they're fucking gold. Like these cunts are just wailing on each other, and they just fucking suck at boxing. So they're just like blind haymakers and just bashing each other in the face. But it's fucking entertaining. I enjoy the shit
It's
out of it.
popular for a reason. Like
Yeah.
like I watched. I didn't pay for it, but I watched Harley's fight on YouTube for free afterward. That like I watched the Sam Hyde fight. I saw Brandon Buckingham, Ice Poseidon. I watched
Yeah.
their
Oh,
fight.
how'd that go down? Did Brandon smash him?
He did.
Brandon did smash him. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys
but,
seen
like,
that I did a thing, that Australian YouTuber where he just like he makes weird shit as well, but he had one and he wailed on this cunt, and he was like trying to get the ref to call it off. He was like, "Man, this guy's fucked." Like, he beat the shit out of me. It was fucking awesome.
I saw that Ludwig did like chess boxing, where you do
Oh,
like
yeah.
you play each other
Oh.
in chess and then you box and then you play in chess again and then you box again, which seems like you really limit your pool there for people because like
I'm not that good at either of those things.
Yeah.
yeah, true.
That
Like,
might
that's
be
like
a
a real
good.
sport,
That might
like
be a good
chess boxing.
starting point, though. Like you're passable at
really?
both of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, look. You take an average YouTuber.
you got to be good at one of them.
Yeah. All right.
You don't go to a chess boxing match if you're bad at chess and boxing. Yeah, it's so necessary to like be
Can we do
competent at
checkers?
one of those things.
Well, it's
We
not
do
like they're
checkers.
recruiting from like the chess boxing fields of lore. I just think that like a lot of the guys getting into this to be like
boxing field.
Yeah.
a lot of these guys would be like,
He's
yeah, I
he's
box a
"Can
little and I know how to
Can we
play.
change up the chess? Like, I'm happy to wail on someone. Can we just like change it up to like 1v1 Modern Warfare 2 nuke towns in between or some shit like that?
Ooh.
Yeah, they could
Just-
do that.
just do
You can do
rounds.
boxing, anything boxing,
Yeah.
and you can do.
We
it.
could do boxing and then like a fucking Mike Tyson's knockout game on the.
I would
on the
love.
SNES.
I would love boxing debate, where you have to box, and then you have like a
Yeah.
3-minute like statement, and then the other person gets a rebuttal, but you don't know what the topic is or what
Yeah.
position you're going to have to argue in favor
Yeah.
or against.
And it's always a fucked up topic that's just
Yeah.
like really really controversial. It's like, tonight we've got Kyle versus Taylor, and they'll be debating abortion.
Yeah, it's like debating abortion.
Yeah.
They both love it. Like, no, I like it more.